Welcome to the Continental. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Welcome to the Continental. I'm your host, Adam Mack, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the worldwide phenomenon known as anime and its impact that it has had on not only just my life, but the life of my very special guest. Now, you might be sitting there saying, "Hey, Adam, isn't anime just another fancy way of saying cartoons?" Well, today I'm here to tell you that anime isn't your everyday Saturday morning cartoons. Admittingly, anime, by its definition, does mean animation that originates in Japan. So yes, it is a cartoon, but that's where the similarities end. Anime provides the same canvas for the imagination that cartoons do, showing you the art of the possible that live action TV and movie just can't, whether it's that tractor trailer that transforms into that robot to come to save the day, or perhaps it's that human or alien that's able to break through their barriers and become more to save their family and friends and Earth itself. Maybe it's a glimpse into the future at space and to see where humans are able to go and see where robots may be able to help or take over. There's all sorts of possibilities with animes and cartoons. However, where cartoons stop at the art of the imagination, anime takes over and provides a story behind those imaginations to help you understand why it's important that we see these things we're seeing, be entertained by these things that we're being entertained, and learn the lessons of not only just what's being shown to us, but of the author's imagination. And I think that's what this episode is going to hopefully tell to you. I know there are so many different types of animes that are out there, but the one underlying thing that my friend and I have discovered over many, many years is that animes provide a story that ultimately has taught us many different lessons as we've grown up over the ages. And only now do we really see the impacts these lessons have had and the perseverance and strength that these characters have shown and how they've been reflected upon us. And we hope to be able to show you through this episode that there's so many more possibilities than just what you see and what you feel when you watch an anime. There are some really human-based lessons that can be learned and that can be shown to inspire you, or perhaps teach you what not to do. But in the end of the day, all I can say is the anime that my guest and I have watched over our lives has really been anime for the ages and really changed who we are and helped us become the people that we are today. And we hope to give you a couple of suggestions that you might like to follow up on and maybe you like to learn from, because anime is more than just your Saturday morning cartoons. It's a life-changing and life-altering experience, and one that you can all learn from, and I hope you can enjoy as well. Of course, you might be saying to yourself, "Why so serious, Adam?" And to be honest, it doesn't have to be. In the end of the day, anime is just entertainment. It's here for fun and for your enjoyment. So instead of the stories and understanding why they are, maybe you're just here for some incredible animations and visuals. Or maybe you want to follow that hero's journey from starting from the bottom to the best of the best. Maybe it's some sci-fi, maybe it's some time jumping, or maybe it's that epic duel between protagonist and antagonist, hero and villain. Or maybe it's that villain who turns into a hero and the power of friendship overcomes all. Anything's possible. That's the beauty of anime. And I hope the list that my friend and I provide for you today gives you a little taste of what's possible. In fact, I guarantee that at least one of those anime shows that we provide to you will spark your interest and hopefully start you down a path that you'll be talking about for the ages. So let's get this episode started. Welcome back to the Continental. Welcome to the Continental. It's glad to have you back. I'm your host, Adam Mack. And on today's episode, we got a very special guest. And I know every guest that we have here is special, but there is not many that can say they've known the host of the Continental for 30 plus years through lifetimes of memories and probably too many stories that shouldn't be told. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking like childhood stories, childhood, secrets. But I think what's important about it is that throughout that childhood, we've learned a great deal and grown a great deal. And coincidentally, we're still friends. So we must like each other for some reason or another. And I think today's topic is probably one of our linchpins of our friendship. And I'm glad to have him as a guest. I'm glad to have him as one of my best friends. We're talking about, I'd like to introduce Peter Wong. Peter, welcome to the Continental. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, Adam, thank you. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you for inviting me onto the show. Definitely my first time, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, whatever, man. It's in the end of the day, it's great to have you under the roof of the Continental, and we want to hear your opinion. And that's exactly why we're here. So for those viewers who are just joining us for the first time, and for yourself, just a little reminder of the rules of the Continental. So basically, the Continental, if you remember, is based in the John Wick movies. It's that hotel, they have that is for assassins, and while you're on the Hotel Continental grounds, you're not allowed to do your business. Basically, you're not allowed to kill each other. And that's the premise behind this podcast. I want to hear your opinion, the audience wants to hear your opinion, and we want to hear the opinion of the audience. But we're not going to kill each other for it. You might have different opinions about who you like, and what's your favorite, and you might disagree with mine, but I just want to hear it, and it'll be great to hear your thoughts about today's topic and what it means to you. So you cool with that? You're not gonna get too crazy on me if I pick something you don't like?
No. I'll be very civil.
No, you could say whatever you want, but you can't just hold it against me while we're here on this podcast. And besides, I own this damn hotel, so too bad for you. No, just kidding. Either way, just let's have fun with it. And I'm excited to talk about today's topic because it's the first time I've actually talked about it on this podcast, and I want to dive deep into it because it's something I think both you and I have had a lot of experience with in our lives. And today's topic is anime. It's Japanese animation. For the rest of the world, it's called anime, and we associate it with anything related to Japanese animation, but obviously in Japan it's just animation. But I think for you and I, it's had such a crazy impact in our lives. We're both in our 30s, and I think you can say to this day, even to this day, it's part of our lives and hopefully part of our kids' lives. So let me ask you, how has anime, when did you first discover anime, and how do you think it's affected your life?
I would say my first time ever watching anime would be when I was about, I want to say 13 or 14 years old. Parents used to go shopping at this mall that we have here called Dixie Park Center.
Oh yeah.
And in it, there's a place where we used to rent our Chinese movies from. And there was a section where there was always anime movies. And that's where I first got introduced, started watching my first episodes of Dragon Ball, got really hooked in that. And from there, just kept going on. I don't think I really watched anime up until like different variants or different styles of anime up until maybe I was 20, actually. And that's when I was in the military, and that's when I met a guy who was very into anime and introduced me to Bleach and Naruto. And from there, I just kept watching more and more and more, and just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, that's I think that's the story of most of us in North America, right? Before there was internet, there was, hey, I'm not gonna, you can't help but stereotype. There were the Chinese malls that had double versions of everything, so it was easy to be able to get access to, right? And whether it was ripped DVDs or even CDs of anime, there was very minimal stuff that was on TV. And I'll say my own personal story. I'm not afraid to admit it. I think the first time I ever really watched anime was YTV. Watched Sailor Moon. I'm not gonna doubt it, right? It's like it was Sailor Moon, Pokemon, and Dragon Ball Z, right? It was what was available, but it was interesting because the stories were actually interesting. You got these characters who would just grow and become better through either hard work, obviously some talent, and but in the end of the day, there was like a lot of sweat equity. There was some stories. Like what about anime stories like attracted you? You say you talk about Dragon Ball Z. Like I think we all like, what about the Dragon Ball Z really caught you, right? Like, was it something? Don't tell me it was just the powering up all the time, because
I
as
think,
much as as much as I
I think
love
you hit a nail
Dragon
on the
Ball
head
Z,
right there, Adam. Sorry to interrupt. I think you hit a
yeah,
nail around the head right there, where you stated the fact that it's about characters who potentially had no power, and eventually through hard work and trying and just kept pushing themselves, that eventually they became who they were. And there's a very, I guess, a hidden part that makes you feel yourself that one day you could be like that, even though it is all just cartoon and stories. But it really pushes you to really try harder and be the best of what you can be.
yeah, it was inspiring, right? Like you remember like that first Dragon Ball Z episode, and like Dragon Ball Z was back in like the 90s, right? Like it started in 1989, it ran till like 1996, but it was basically in the heart of our childhood. But you start with like Goku, right? Like you remember those first few episodes where he was basically getting his butt whooped by his brother Raditz, and he was like nobody. Yeah, like remember Raditz was joking. He's like, "Oh, you only have power level, 400. It's like you can't even touch me and stuff like that." And he would it required him and Piccolo plus like his son, like Gohan, to kick it, to beat Raditz. And every single time he'd come back stronger. And that, like I said, just continuing to grow, continuing to be better. It's interesting. Hey, I'll even admit, like watching Sailor Moon, that's exactly what interested me. Yeah, the powers were kind of interesting, whatever. They would do this wand thing and they would like change the thing. I don't actually remember exactly what the storyline was, I'll be perfectly honest. But it was just always like, oh, it was just like this nobody who was able to become, through effort, through hard work, like, and lessons, somebody. And I think that's probably what a lot of anime that we've watched over the years has really can be boiled down to, is right, like that growth. And actually, what's funny, I was just thinking about it earlier today and it didn't even dawn on me, but have you ever noticed what the big difference between like Japanese animation versus like North American animation is?
I never really thought about that.
Well, we're just talking about it now, the growth of the characters. If you think about the old school cartoons that we used to watch, right, like Transformers, GI Joe, like the North American ones, right,
Yeah.
they were only about episodes, right? Every episode was different. Every episode, you got Optimus Prime trying to stop Megatron from getting the Energon or something like that, but no two episodes really connected to one another, right? You didn't have episode 1 was important for episode 15. So I just realized this, and it was just in my research and just thinking about this podcast a little bit further, but Japanese animation actually is the ones who created that concept of connected story way before, way before 24 came out, right? Where episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it was all connected, right? And you saw that character grow. Like we grew up with Goku. Yeah, even though it took maybe 50 episodes for him to get to Super Saiyan or something like that, even though it was only supposed to be a few hours, he grew to that point, right? And you could see that over that period of time. And that happened with all the other shows that you mentioned. Naruto, if you think about it, you grew up with him as a kid all the way to an adult. Bleach, a wide variety of other anime. They all are like one big story, and it's attractive, to be honest, right? And it's interesting. Besides all the powering up and everything like that, and overcoming, the failures and all that other stuff like that. But even Pokemon, right? If you think about it, he had to get Ash Ketchum got his butt whooped how many times in those gyms or whatever, and before he got there. So but yeah, I think anime is it has a really cool story, and it's broadened itself to so much in our lives, right? Like for yourself, it's not just about just watching anime for you, right? Like what else do you like? What are the things that are interesting about you anime? Like, are you into the toy industry? Are you into like the manga? for those of you who might not be aware, manga obviously is the Japanese version of the comics. So it's graphic novels based stories. But what else are you interested in into the that's associated with anime?
Yeah, no, it's collectibles. I'm not too much into the mangas itself, but I do like to have a piece of the actual shows or movies or whatever that I've been watching through, for example, your background right there, all your little collectibles you have in the back. Something to actually to have in hand and just not even to play with, but just to look at, right? But yeah, no, I think that's for the most part, that's it.
Well, for those of you who don't know, part of the reason why I invited Peter is you see this couple up here. Yeah, that's from Mr. Peter Wong right there. He knows how to line it up, and he knows how to get those rare ones. And so I'm always appreciative, and I'll always remember remember these opportunities, and I'm always grateful. Yeah, similar to yourself, I think anime culture has turned more into pop culture, right? Like you see it, like you said, toys. We've been to like some of those Comic Cons, but even in the Comic Cons, they have tons of anime related stuff. And it's cool to see, like, even as you as an adult today, like what keeps bringing you back? Like, why do you still watch it? Why do you still follow it?
I think it's a storyline. It's always different, even it's not just about them powering up, but there's also them learning who they are, their history, learning where they come from, and most part that's how they get their real strength, right? By knowing who they are, and overcoming whatever fears they had or their families may have had. I believe that's it could in a way relate to a lot of us, right? Overcoming that fear from the past and achieving more in the future.
Well, actually, man, that's deep, man. Because well, what's wrong with that? That's what, if you think about it, I guess that's true, right? Like we're both children of immigrants, and the concept of overcoming the obstacles that are in front of you is something that our parents kind of emphasized throughout our lives. It's that there's always going to be obstacles, and but there never is you should never run out of should never run out of hard work, right? You should always keep trying and keep pushing. And like you said, like you can always keep growing, you can always keep learning about yourself, and it's something that you can always improve on in your life. And honestly, to your I am hoping that I could teach the same to my kids. And that's why anime, comics, these characters, yeah, they might seem like fun or childish, right? But the reality is there are some really underlying lessons, and there are some really underlying good examples that they can bring, right? Like I would love to be able to continue telling my kid this, and bringing his interest into it, and showing him that the lessons that you can learn, that hey, it's about hard work. Like we're saying, all these anime characters, they're usually the runts of the litter, right? They're usually like power level 1, and they're always written off, and they always find a way to be more. And I think that's an important thing to remind our kids going forward, and remind ourselves. It never stops, even if we might be wearing cartoon t-shirts at the age of, I'll say 30. But anyway, yeah, no, that's good. It's good to hear why you fell in love with the anime. Anything you're watching now that you want to let the audience know that you want to promote?
Well, not so much. Well, I don't know if they're Japanese animes, but I have been watching a few with my kids right now. They're mostly Netflix story cartoons, I will say.
Yeah.
But the artistry and the storyline itself is very anime Japanese-ish
driven. So,
yeah, I've been watching Dragon Prince.
Okay.
And then She-Ra, that kind of stuff with my daughters. Yeah, I have 2 daughters, so they really do enjoy the female power, women's strength, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's it just goes to show you the influence that anime has had, right? Or in North American culture. I was just reading somewhere, it's crazy, but 60% of all animation in the world is based on anime, right? Like the revenue is
But
based
yeah,
upon like either it's I think it's either from anime or actually just like anime driven. And there's all that stuff you're seeing on Netflix, for example. Yeah, you can't really say it's necessarily anime because it's not from Japan per se, but it's driven by the like the origin of it is from anime, like driven by anime interests, right?
yeah,
And there's your power player right there.
yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, you're the follower in your house. It's okay. You're not the hero in your home. That's fine. Neither am I. But yeah, it's crazy, right? Like it's crazy how anime has pushed itself into our North American culture and is a normal thing. And like you said,
Yeah.
there's so much stuff on Netflix. Rio was just telling me that they are thinking of, I think, bringing back the last Avatar, the Last Airbender again. And that's actually based on that's from Nickelodeon, right? It's actually North American written, so it's not actually true anime. But the concept is, you would think it's like straight out of like anime, like the animation, the styles, the whole experience, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know until I looked it up that it wasn't actually anime. So that's it's your daughters want your attention.
Yeah, they're trying to come in and get some screen time.
It's okay. It's fine. They're their own anime characters themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you have I know your daughters are trying to get your attention. Let's get to the main event of the day. And today's main topic is, we could talk about anime for ages and go through the stories and the histories and what's our favorite episodes and everything like that, but I think that would probably be too much for our podcast. I think we probably want to narrow it down for the audience so they don't get totally bored. But I think we also want to get some of their feedback and what's a controversial topic. So today's topic is, who are your top 3 anime characters in your life? Now, obviously, we're probably going to have similar characters since we grew up with each other. But what I want to be able to do is, I want you to go through your top 3 characters and elaborate. Why are they interesting? What episode made them your favorite, or what was it like? How did they make your top 3? And in some cases where we're going to have similar characters, we can just talk about it together. But if we don't, I'd like to hear what you're thinking, and I'll let you know what I think about them as well. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So what we'll do is, let's start off with we'll start off with your third best one, and we'll make your way up. So go 3, 2, 1, and we'll end obviously with your all-time favorite character.
Okay.
All right. And if we have ones in different orders, we'll just talk about it regardless. So we'll start with you, and then we'll just swap back and forth. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right, Peter Wong, my friend for 30 plus years. Let's hope this podcast doesn't end that.
All right. So
who is your number 3 favorite anime character?
all right. My number 3 favorite anime character would be actually Goku.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking that it might be higher. I was thinking it might be higher.
And truthfully, he was probably my number 1 for a while, but I think with the issue with this character is he's too powerful, just like Superman. When you have a character that's too powerful, either there's 2 things that's going to happen: the storyline or the movies or whatever that they're going to do with it is just going to suck, because they can never build an enemy just as powerful. And when they do make an enemy just as powerful or more powerful, it just becomes a little bit too far-fetched. And I feel like the storyline itself, it's getting to a point where this guy's become too much of a god now, right? And which he does have that power up level now, where it's Super Saiyan God mode, which at that point, like, when you create a character stronger than him in God level,
Yeah.
It starts to become a little bit hard to watch, I could say. But in yeah, he did build, like I said earlier, he was the one I first started watching. He did create the love for anime in me. So he does hold a piece in my heart. However, there are other characters who may not be as powerful as Goku, who definitely I feel like earns the right as the top 2 or top 1. But Goku, he's definitely a top 3 with his heroic nature, his wanting to defend his friends, his family, and everybody actually. But and also, yeah, even when he powers up, I think the most recent one would be the Ultra Instinct, which is actually pretty cool as well. So yeah, Goku's my number 3.
Whoa, yeah, no, you know what? I'll tell you first, he did not actually make my list, and I'm actually kind of shocked personally. But when I thought about it really hard, he did not make my list, personally myself. But I agree with everything you said. You know, he is he's the originator of our interests, right? Like he was the hero that really brought the whole, you got from the lowest of lows and you're still able to overcome. But you're right. If you build a storyline all the time around the one guy who can just beat everybody, it kind of just like throws the whole flow off a bit, and then it kind of makes it less exciting and less interesting. And that'll get to the reason why one of the characters on my list is on the top of the near the top of the list, and that's specifically for that reason that Goku, although a great character, it got a little boring, right? And his only flaw was that he was kind of stupid, right? Like not in a bad way, but he would like let his guard down and basically he would lose, right? Like an example is the Resurrection of Frieza movie for Dragon Ball Z, where he was basically beating Golden Frieza, and he basically let his guard down, and Frieza's henchman shot him in the back with a laser beam, which is like, hello, dude. It's a laser beam. You were just blocking a huge fireballs to your face, and you failed to a laser beam, which is exactly what Whis told him, right? The angel on Dragon Ball Z is like, Goku, your fatal flaw is that you just let your guard down everywhere, which, makes, like, I know that's supposed to speak to his greater character, his heart, but I'm like, dude. Anyway, it's like that. If that's the only thing that can beat him, that's not a realistic character. But to your point, he's such a powerful character. He's meant a lot to our history, and I can still remember the day when he first went Super Saiyan, and I was just like, I will say, and I don't know if you agree with me, the only hiccup with Dragon Ball Z that always drove me nuts is that sometimes, especially with the older Dragon Ball Zs, it would take forever to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think, remember that Frieza arc? It was like 50 episodes before he got to being Super Saiyan. Like, I read somewhere, like, that whole battle, like, that whole planet Namek thing was only like a few days, right? But for us, it would take like 2 years of watching episodes before they finish. And I'm like, you really need to just go. Right, like like, and I think they learned their lesson when they did Dragon Ball Super. They really just pushed it along quickly. But man, sometimes Dragon Ball Z, it was like be Goku going for like 5 episodes, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
it's like
or running on that running in heaven for a while just to reach King Kai's planet.
yeah. It's like, what was it? It took him like a year to run to King Kai's, but it only took him like, a day to fly back. And I'm like, I know he trained, but that's a big difference, right? Take a year. And then it's like, even when, like when that Dragon Ball Z episode, it took how many years for Vegeta and Nappa to get to Earth on those those pods, but for some reason it only took like 1 week for Goku to go to Namek. Like I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
space is big, but I'm like, I don't understand. Suddenly these like they go from 1 year to like, you know, one day or something like that, right? It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think those are the slight flaws that that Dragon Ball would always have, but we all loved it.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, I like your pick Goku. It didn't make my list though. He didn't make my list as
Which
much as
I'm
it
quite
had.
shocked.
Which I'm shocked because, like, look, I'm wearing t-shirts and the dolls and everything in the background. He's a, but like you said, he's an important character. To me as well, he's a very important character in defining, you know, who uh who my interest in anime, myself, and he carried me through my childhood. You know, you know, Akira Toriyama. You know, props to him. You know, hello, little one. We have a superstar. Hi. Hello, little one. How are you doing?
Hi.
Did you get a haircut?
No, it's just not growing.
Oh, you look like, oh, I guess the last time I saw you, you had a hat. Are you going to be interested in Dragon Ball?
Oh, she can't hear you.
Oh, that's okay.
You want to go out?
Look, it's like a twin.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, like Dragon Ball has been a mainstay. But even I think similar to you, once I got into my 20s, Dragon Ball wasn't as a big thing for me. I think some of the, and I didn't mention this earlier, but like some of the characters that I grew interested in, which I'll explain with my characters. He's like, I want to be on TV too. I want to be on TV.
Daddy,
Hi.
what is he saying?
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay. And your daughters are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, anyway, I'll get to some of my history with anime in a little bit, but it's anyway, Goku definitely made a huge difference in my life, and it really hooked me all the way through high school and into my 20s. So I'm never gonna not be appreciative of it. But now as an adult, I'll tell you, if I have to think real hard about it, my favorite character, third favorite anime character is actually turned into being Vegeta.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was weird to me to come up with Vegeta if I think about it, because in the end of the day, first, he's been a bad guy. He was originally a bad guy, and the thing is, though, his character has become such a staple in the anime universe, but also for the fact that he's kind of like the anti-main character. Without his, like, he is the yin, he is the yang to the Goku's yin, right? Like, without a Vegeta, there is no Goku for what he is. Like, I know in some of those, you know, in a lot of the more recent Dragon Balls, he's basically like the Vegeta character has said, hey, I wouldn't be where I am without Goku because this fool keeps pushing me to be better, right? And I keep pushing myself to be better. But when I look at Vegeta's character, his whole premise of he went from everything, he deserves everything because he's the Prince of Saiyans, to I will earn everything. There is nothing given. And he is like the I wouldn't say he's the antithesis of Goku because they both work like crazy, but he is definitely not the most talented one. He learned from his mistake, right? It's interesting because he's a character who was given everything, and you know, he was supposed to be the king of all Saiyans, and then he was basically just shown that he was not who everybody was trying to claim him to be. And rather than pout about it, or rather than saying why is it not fair, he basically said, screw this, I'm just going to work my butt off and try to be better than you no matter what. And you know, and in a way, he's actually the more responsible character in that show. You know, his love for his family, he won't sacrifice his family for anything. Like, you know, when Beerus, the god of destruction, you know, slapped Bulma, even though he was gonna probably die, he was like, screw this, I'm gonna go. He went crazy and went after Beerus. and he didn't want to leave for that tournament of superpower in Dragon Ball Super because his daughter might be born, and he's like, no, my daughter's more important than whatever this fighting thing is, right? And like, he's the true family man, and you could probably say Goku is a bit negligent. He's also that's a little bit of a flaw in his character too. He's kind of a super negligent father, but at the same time,
Vegeta's the father you want to be, then, right?
yeah, he would probably be like he's just like, that's funny. He's like the more anti Goku. He's almost like he understands his responsibilities in his life, right?
Yeah.
But besides that, it's just, I think it goes to like his character development through like Dragon Ball Z. Like when he went through the first Dragon Ball Z where he was the bad guy, then he went to Namek and still the bad guy, killing everything, but he was then he rescued Bulma, Goku, and Krillin and Gohan, and then he came back to Earth and he was like, oh man, he fell in love with Bulma, and then he was tempted by Majin Buu, but then he ended up sacrificing himself to try to save everybody, to save his family, and then like this whole character arc is actually pretty nice, like from a yo-yo kind of perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I like that kind of character, right? Like it's interesting when the character has flaws and grows out of them, and it's not the obvious hero. And I don't know, I may not have watched it as much anime as some of our viewers, but I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know, what do you think about Vegeta?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you just said. I did think about him as well, in regards to where he came from, starting off as a villain and slowly becoming a good guy. And if you think about it, like where you said Majin Buu, I think that was the turn where he really changed. His character itself really changed and became a complete opposite of what he was, right? Because even after, I believe it was the Cell Saga, after that event where Goku died and Gohan saved the world, there was a movie that came out. I forgot which one it was, what it was called, BoJack or something like that. And in it you'll see future Trunks there, and future Trunks is trying to help his dad and everything, but meanwhile Vegeta was still trying to push him away because he still had that pride in him. But when you watch the later episodes after the Buu saga, he did definitely change a lot, and you can see the way he treated his kids, his family, and like you said, even when Bulma got slapped, he was going to defend her honor or fight back as much as he can, right? Even if it meant he was going to die, right? So yeah, he is a good character. I agree, definitely. Maybe not as strong as Goku, but definitely makes up for Goku's flaws.
Yeah, like it's a bit of a grounding, right? And I like how they balance off each other. I think a lot of like, to be honest, I think the ones that we've watched, and I'll say it, like Naruto, Bleach, all of them, right? They all have that, how do you say, that character balance where there's always somebody who's trying to make the main character stronger or push them, right? And make them desire to be better, right? I think Goku, Vegeta, Goku, they're both amazing characters, and it's something that is always gonna mean a lot. Yeah. Nice. All right. Number 2. What is your number 2 favorite anime character, or who is your number 2 favorite anime character?
Number 2 would be I'm not sure if you ever watched this one. His name is Lelouch. And it's from an anime called Code Geass. I'm not sure if I've ever spoken to you or talked to you about it, but just it's been a while since I watched it as well. But just a very quick plot summary. So it's in regards to, I guess you could say, like an empire that's been taken over, an empire that is taking over the country, and in it there was the emperor himself and his son, who was similar to Vegeta, was promised everything, was going to get everything, but he ended up getting these special powers from an alien race, and with those powers he was able to pretty much change the way things came out. and he eventually started to fight back against his father, which actually was his stepfather, and stop the war and all that stuff. But this character himself, the reason why I liked him was I think he started off as a very cocky, arrogant, rich, bratty boy, and when he got to powers, he saw not only was he able to change the world, but he was able to change himself as well, because he realized how bad the situation was, how bad the world was becoming, with his stepfather taking over the entire country. But in it, you'll see him making a lot of friends, growing, and the character development was actually very powerful as well. But yeah, no, it's I won't say, if you're looking at comparing power levels, he definitely wasn't at that power level as Goku. He couldn't fight, actually. His fighting skills were really bad. He had a friend that was in the army who grew up with nothing, and he was actually a lot better fighter than he was. But at the same time, because of these powers that he had, and more or less, he had the power to change one's, the power to convince someone to do something, and he only was able to do it once. Like, if he convinced you in the past to jump up and down, he was unable to use that power on you again. So in it was more or less kind of like a chess match, which he actually did refer back to a lot, was the chess match, and it was more of like an intellectual anime, and how he was gonna be able to stop his father and all that stuff. So that was something I really liked about it, right? Like, it wasn't all about strength; it was a lot about him using his brains, that kind of thing. So that would be my number 2.
Wow, that's pretty cool. When did you start watching that?
That one, I think I watched that in 2002, maybe 2003. Yeah, it's been a very no, sorry, 2009. 2009 was when I started watching that one.
Oh wow, is it finished? It's like all done?
Yeah, it's finished. Yeah. So no, definitely something that if you haven't watched it, something that I would highly recommend. But yeah, it is an older one, so you just have to watch.
Oh, that's pretty good, man. Like, you really went the full gamut in terms of like style of anime and story. Well, actually, that's a good question. Maybe, like, let me know. It's like, how do you go about finding different animes to watch?
I usually just look at the covers, truthfully. If the cover interests me. Some of them was, for example, Naruto and Bleach. Actually, those were recommended to me by someone I met, my friend I met in the army.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I didn't know what to watch, so it'll either be looking at the cover, or my cousin. She was really into anime as well, and she actually recommended some of them to me too. So, and which I think she recommended my first pick, which I'll state later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how that is, right? Like, it's not something you just, for me, and similar to you, that I was like actively like looking for all the time, right? Like, I got a lot of like my highest point of interest in anime was in university. Had a great roommate who really liked anime and manga, and he even actually did a work term in Japan, and he would just recommend all this stuff, and I just got into it. Back in the day, the internet, you could just find almost anything, a little like a little bit easier, I would say, not to show some respect to copyright and everything like that. But I like, for me and some of my favorite animes, unfortunately, they're not going to make a character list for me, but some of my favorite animes are like these one-off movies or these short series. Like, my all-time favorite series, even though I'm not going to pull a character from it, is, I don't know if you ever heard of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like super, like, originally, like, the concept of these humans, basically you get introduced to it as humans controlling these super large bots that are trying to fight these alien creatures coming in, right? But it turns out to be some crazy existential, idea about creation and who we are and all this other stuff, right? Because they knew about these aliens forever, and they've been like the technology of the large robots are actually based on the aliens and all this other stuff, right? And it's like it's just some kind of crazy storyline. It's very short too. It's only like I think one season, and it was just like it's totally. And this goes back to what you're saying about anime. It doesn't have to be about the power levels. It could just be about this, like the mind, like the more thought based storylines, right? It's like, how does somebody, in your case, your last example, how does he use his power in a very chess like fashion to be able to, you know, resolve the situation? And it could be more than about just powering up. There's like some actual character driven development in all this, right? And in Neon Genesis, it's all about like, what is the meaning of life kind of thing, right? Like that. Another one that I really fell for series, and if you ever look this up, did you ever watch Berserk or hear about Berserk? That one is like, I think when it came to, it wasn't the first one that I got introduced to that was extreme. It was extremely like gory, like in terms of like violence. So if you like a violent anime and you just don't do it around your daughters, like it is extremely violent. Like you're talking like arms, legs, guts, head ripped off, like crazy stuff, right? But it's but it wasn't like, that was what's interesting from an action perspective. But the character himself has like, it basically, he was an innocent kind of guy who was extremely good fighter he had this like super heavy sword that he would fight with and that nobody else could fight with. Like it was just like this massive sword. But basically there was a movie about it, and then there was this long series, but essentially he has to fight demons, but he basically trusted the demons first too much, and it cost him everything. And he's just basically trying to okay. Hi.
I got a candy thing, and I want to ask you if you want any.
Okay, you can have it.
But we're saving some for tomorrow.
Okay.
It's an LOL one.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, she's so mature now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so if you ever get a chance, Berserk is pretty interesting, and it's once again, it goes back to like light and dark and like meaning of life and stuff like that. And it's crazy, like they get really serious with some of these stories. But yeah, man, that's which is funny. I like all these characters, but my list is kind of pretty basic. I don't go into it goes to show you I'm still a kid. So I will get into my number two. My number two character of interest for anime of my life is, it's actually Gohan.
Okay.
I might be slightly overdoing the Dragon Ball a little bit here, but I guess
Is you the biggest fan?
I've spent far too much. I have watched a lot of other anime. Honestly, I have. I guess once again, it's weird because Gohan's not even the main character. I guess what interests me and what keeps me following is that they keep nerfing his character, but bringing him back around. It was weird to me because in Dragon Ball, like they help almost make it like a succession plan where Goku would then, like, you have Gohan who has all this talent, but he's more human and he has to understand what's the importance of what they're doing, right? And he's the reluctant hero, right? It's just like Vegeta. He's a reluctant hero because he doesn't want to be, like, he understands he has to do it, but it's not necessary, right? It's not like Goku who just wants to keep fighting everybody, right? But Gohan, to me, it was made logical sense that he was going to be the next hero of that whole series, right? Because he beat Cell, and then he went back to being normal, and he lost his strength, and he had to grow again. And then I think, like, when they went for that whole Majin Buu, and then he was supposed to be like the mystic Gohan, I'm like, why didn't they just have him win? Like, I don't understand why they couldn't, like, his character had a good character arc. Instead, they had to just go back to being Goku, kicking everybody's butt, right? And I'm like, to the point where even in Dragon Ball Super, like, his character is an intellectual character who who has love for his family, but realizes that in order to protect that family, he has to, tap into what he has been given and what he has worked for, right? And it's something that you realize you have to make certain sacrifices for the greater good, right? It's not all about just you. So I thought it was an interesting character arc, and it probably goes to show you I spent probably too much time with Dragon Ball. I debated between like Gohan and maybe even like Bleach and Ichigo and some of the characters on Bleach I kind of really like as well. Like an example of what I would say in comparison, where like I feel like they nerfed his character and they could have spent more time developing it more in Bleach was Kenpachi, right? Where I'm like he's like this super powerful character who after he faced Ichigo he kind of learned about himself, like about what are the opportunities for growth and fighting for more than just yourself, and he was going to grow, and then they just like decided to go away from it in the show. It's like, nah, it's fine. It's like they're just gonna make him some like just some crazy just person who wants to just keep cutting people, right? Like I don't know, did you ever read the end of the Bleach manga?
No.
No, okay, so I won't ruin it for you, but like they bring out some good character development with Kenpachi and for Bleach that I'm hoping they're going to bring in the anime. Because did you hear they're actually going to do that last character, the last Bleach arc that was in the manga in the anime?
I finished already.
No, they're going to bring it back. So they actually didn't finish it correctly, right? Like there's a whole huge arc. It's a pretty good arc in the manga that they were supposed to do. And I think they announced recently, like last year, obviously before the pandemic, that they were actually they're bringing back the anime, and they're going to bring back the last arc, which is pretty cool. Basically, the last arc is the war between the Quincy's and the Shinigami. So
I thought they had that as the manga already.
In the manga they did, but they didn't do it in the anime.
Sorry, yeah, anime. I thought they had the anime already.
They didn't do it. They didn't finish it.
Oh, I thought
they didn't do it. Yeah, they didn't do it in totality, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's like there's so much like every character just like has their own little thing, like including like the Kenpachi and like everything like that, right? So
was that the one where Kenpachi fights the Shinigami 13 or 12?
No. It's he's fighting a Quincy as well, but like he has to like change like quite a bit. Like he changes quite a bit.
Okay.
Like his character changes quite a bit. It's pretty interesting. So
that's the one where they had the Quincy boss, right? The one who had blood in each of the Quincy's, like each of them were really related to him.
Yeah.
I thought that one ended.
No, like it's not quite done. Like that's why it's like it was weird. They kind of like finished it incomplete, right? So
I see.
Yeah. So no, it's gonna be pretty interesting. But I know it seems weird. Like I think probably like that whole Cell saga with Gohan is probably always what sticks with me, and him basically just getting pushed to the limit, and finding something deep down inside. It's Goku like, but his reluctance is what's interesting to me as a character. And then also it's like they've like, honestly, I put him on that list because he at least Vegeta had a legitimate character arc. I almost feel bad for Gohan. Like they yo-yoed his character, and I don't know if that was Toriyama's intent, but like honestly, it's like they at least the creators of Dragon Ball Super gave him like some respectability. But in the end, like he's more almost human. So I know it's not everybody's favorite character, but I like him.
Unless they were able to get Krillin to that level of strength, I don't think it would make sense if they made Gohan stronger than Goku, because Goku now is at God level because he has the Saiyan blood, whereas Gohan, I think he's because he has part human and part Saiyan, that he would never be able to, in my opinion, would never be able to surpass Vegeta, Goku, or any of those pure bloods, right?
Yeah.
Unless you introduce One Punch Man in there and somehow One Punch Man had a baby with Goku, then that might be a different story. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, which is why I don't think Gohan should be in that top level.
Yeah, no, I get it. It just seems so logical to me in the series, but
I think you're thinking of Gohan from the Cell Saga. Even in the Buu Saga, he wasn't that great either. But the Cell Saga, I think,
well,
was peak.
when he first did that whole first mystic thing, I thought that was like, he was beating like Majin, like he was beating Buu, right? And
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's that's why it's like sometimes I wonder about like the Dragon Ball storyline. Like there are parts where it's good, and then parts it's like somebody just says, "Oh no, I want Goku to win," and it's like all of a sudden it's like, "No, I want Goku to win." It's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
It's like give me a break. It's like it's like you can't keep going back to the same story. It's not called Goku Z. It's called Dragon Ball, right? Z, right? So whatever. It's fine. Yeah. All right. It's yeah. So before we get into our top ones, I want to ask you a question. Like, do you see like anime still being a part of your life? Into the future and with your kids, and like, what are the values and benefits that you've seen about anime that over the last 30 years of your life, or more like the 20 years of your life?
I think yeah, no, definitely anime would definitely be in our lives still. At least for mine. I don't know if my daughters will enjoy it as much as I did. They do love to watch our TV, but when it comes to watching anime, I haven't really exposed them to that yet, just because of the violence you can see in there.
Yeah.
I do find, although people might think that it's for kids, it is a very mature storyline, it's from a very mature audience. So by that time, do you really have control of your kids and what they watch? I may not, but for me, definitely, if the stories and the drawings continue to grow or move on the level that they're moving right now, I'm sure they'll enjoy it just as much as I did, right? And as much as I have. So definitely, yeah, it will be in our lives.
Yeah, man, I 100% agree with you right there. I don't think it's going anywhere. Well, I've invested in a lot, so I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I'm going to raise my kid on, or at least introduce him to, going forward. Because like you said, I think, okay, first off, the animation is incredible, right? Like I really enjoy that, the quality of it, to the point where I can see what the styles I like and the styles I don't. But I think the most important thing, then you hit the nail on the head, is the development, the maturity level of the stories they have. They basically take movie level or TV series level drama and storylines and put it in animated form, and that's probably why it's so popular entertainment media in Japan and around the world, because you can obviously do so much with animation that you can't do with regular characters, but also, like you said, as long as they keep bringing the character development and the stories that they have, they can really just teach a lot, and they're just create really good entertainment. Honestly, I know some animes get really, like I was saying, really existential. Some get really graphically violent, which, to your point, I probably don't bring it up with my kid too much, because even he recognizes Dragon Ball Z and he's like, Dragon Ball Z, ha ha ha, that one, I love that one. It's like, I love Goku, ha 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 ha. Right? And I'm like, okay, I think I should stop watching that in front of you for a little bit. But yeah, like it's just been so, like, you've seen our kids at those like Comic-Con conventions, right? Like I brought my kid to San Diego Comic-Con and he loved the Dragon Ball exhibit. The one that we saw at the Metro Convention Center. They had a similar one in San Diego, and it's like it just blew him away. The colors, the animation, the coolness of it, and then hopefully he'll like the stories too. And I think there's a lot to learn from it. And I think it's just,
for sure.
some, honestly, compared to some of the other, the shows and TV medium out there, like, what would you rather have, right? I would almost say I'd prefer having him watch anime than some of the weird stuff that's out there today, right? And at least with anime, and this is something that I try to bring up. At least with anime, there is some consistency and representation,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't have to explain to my kid, hey, how come there's a there's an overrepresentation or misrepresentation of characters on a TV show, right? At least with anime, they may not get influenced by like perception or like not having enough visible minorities on a show, right? Like they learn from the series itself, and it's just a cartoon, right? And they're like, yeah, there's some stereotypes, but there's not like TV stereotypes. And I think that's something that would be impactful for our kids. Like I think about the Dragon Balls and the Narutos and the Bleaches and all that stuff, and you don't see race in a way, right? Like you just see the story and like the interest of it. And I think that's important, obviously, to our kids. But anyway, I think that's probably for another discussion. Okay. I know I've used up a lot of your time. Let's get to the ultimate answer of the day. Peter Wong, who is your favorite anime character of all time?
All right. So my favorite anime character of all time, I think I've spoken about this person many times, or this anime at least. And truthfully, I don't know why this one's become so big on me. But the more I think of it, I think I do really. There are times where I do think about my history, my family, my lineage, and all that stuff. And I think this is where this one kind of, in a way, connected with me. And it's the anime itself is called Flame of Recca, and the character himself is Recca. Have you watched it, Adam?
No, I haven't watched it. I've heard of it though.
Okay. Yeah, and in the story itself, it's like a teenage boy who acquires, or I can't say acquires, but he has these powers in him. And at first you think it's just skills that he earned or whatnot, but in reality, it's 8 dragon flames that reside in his body, and each of these flames, not to ruin the story, is actually a piece of his history, like an ancestor of his who used to be, in a way, a flame bender himself. And when they pass away, their body becomes this spiritual dragon flame that goes into them. And I guess it's because growing up, I was very close to my grandparents, and just a piece of me just doesn't want to think that they disappeared, and a piece of me wants to believe that they're in me. So it's pretty cool watching this anime, seeing that these flames he was able to control and was in him. They all had their own personalities from when they were alive, and they were all there for him to use to protect him and whatnot. So it's a very cool storyline. If you ever get a chance to watch it as well. I don't think this one ended properly. I think it's similar to Bleach. It ended very abruptly as well. But when you get to certain parts of it, it does get very interesting.
Nice. Very nice. That kind of reminds me of like the whole, it's probably not the same, but like the concept of, Avatar, The Last Airbender, and having those ancestors, be a part of you and progress and try to teach you and train you and help you learn from who they are. It sounds like, so it definitely sounds like something I want to catch up on, and it sounds like it has an extremely deep meaning. When did you watch that one?
This one came out in 2002, so I think I probably watched it in 2007. I believe I watched this before I actually watched Code Geass, or before I watched Naruto, and before I watched Bleach. That's when I watched this one.
No, man, that's just pretty good. Yeah, it sounds like something you could definitely get into. And you know what, I love hearing how all these anime characters have touched you from a character perspective, and help you realize a little bit about yourself and who you are. Because like we were saying, it's more than just powering up, right? It's more than just, as my parents used to call it, verbal diarrhea. But there's real development here, and there's real growth, and there's real educational value. And it's I'm loving these recommendations. I'm writing them all down. I'm gonna go check these out. That's partially why I do this podcast, right? Because then I learn about all this stuff, and then it gives me something to do in my spare time.
Fair enough.
No,
I'm
man.
shocked that the anime industry didn't blow up during this time of COVID, especially because you would think, especially because movies weren't getting pushed out as much, they would start making more animes. But I'm assuming it's because the COVID is not hitting. It's pretty much now that we have vaccines, going to clear up soon. But if I could see if the COVID did go longer, anime probably would have been the next stock you want to invest in.
No, well, I think it's always going to be a staple. I think it's already hit an additional stride, right? Like if you think about how it's part of our culture, it's an acceptable part of our culture. It's like how, you got to give Marvel their due, right? Like they've made, animation, graphic novels, comics, all that a standard or an acceptable norm in today's society, right? Like you remember like when we go to like Fan Expo or Comic Con, how like there's so many people, but more than that, it's like it's starting to be part of the city, right? Like when it happens, you see it out on the street, people taking photos, doing cosplay, all around the city. Heck, I've done like cosplay myself, and it's not looked at like, what is this, right? It's not looked like as like some kind of niche kind of entertainment interest. People see real value in it, and people see real interest, and and people get attached to the different characters because they're really cool, right? Like you're like like they're actually interested in it because they're connected to those characters, not just because it's powering up, right? Or not because it's some kind of superpower, right? So yeah, man, it's I'm looking forward to what's ahead and what's to come. So all right, my number one. In actuality, man, it's like I have a lot to learn about anime, man. You've taught me because you've really explored anime. I think I've probably kept myself into a small little bubble of interest, maybe because I just keep rewatching the same things over and over again. I got to get out more. But my all-time favorite character, just because of, I think, just out of sheer time and time spent on that character, is Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. And I know it seems like such a basic answer, but I can't downplay how much it's been a part of my life, right? Naruto started in 1999, which is exactly when our 20s, basically when our 20s started. And it went all the way till just 2017, like literally almost 20 years. And I actually followed that storyline all the way through, whether it was the manga or the anime. Obviously from a, anime convention perspective, it's been a part of my life. And but specifically to the character itself, I think even though it's a main character, what Kishimoto did that was very interesting to me is even though he was inspired by Goku, the character itself is very genuine in the sense that I think we've all been where the Naruto character has been as a child, which is, you always feel like as a child, there's always a point in your life where you feel like you're rejected by your peers and society. You always feel isolated, right? All kids feel that way. And that's the good and bad about being kid. Everybody, all like kids can be sometimes mean to each other, and you feel like you're not, part of the group or like the friends or whatever, right? And it's always interesting for me for Naruto that it wasn't a matter about proving himself to others. It was proving himself to himself, that he was able to be normal or be there, right? And have his ninja way and always try to just help others, even if others didn't want to accept him, because in the end of the day, he was trying to prove it to himself that he was able to achieve, it was, the whole goal of being Hokage. And for those, like, as you like, to your point, Naruto is about this ninja village where Naruto, the main character, is imbued with this demon, but because he's imbued with this demon, he's basically rejected by society, and they don't want to do anything with him, and he has to basically earn his way into society, even though they think that he's going to be the end of the world. And he basically grows with his vision and desire to be the leader of this society, this village, even though they reject him. So he basically has to prove himself to them, but he doesn't focus on proving himself to them. He focuses on proving himself to himself, that he's worth that opportunity in his life through hard work. Obviously, once again, hard work is a common theme in all my characters that have interest. But he always goes through that, that desire to just overcome that rejection, even when it comes to his the what's it called, his yang, or his yin to his yang, right, which is Sasuke, right? And that he's always trying to save him, even though Sasuke doesn't want to be saved. But into him, he wants to prove it to himself that he can always stay true to himself and save him, which he does at the end, right? Spoiler alert, whatever, right? And I just loved his character arc development. I just loved the fact that he just never gave up on his values of who he was, no matter how much he was put to that test, and through all the enemies that he faced. And that, I think it's like the simplicity of believing that you can always win out is kind of nice, but not through, like, unlike maybe Goku, where he just overpowers everybody. Naruto won out through his personality and his desire for, like, that, there's goodness in everybody, right? Like, even at the end, it was his stubbornness that saved some of these people, whether it was remember Pain, right? Like, he basically said, like, even though Pain killed everybody Naruto loved, he was like, I don't want to kill you, because it's like, that's not the point, right? Like, he wants to, but in the end of the day, it's not gonna solve anything. It's just gonna make somebody else want to be there for revenge. He just wants to make sure nobody else gets hurt again, right? So, and anyway, I know it's a really base level reason. I guess maybe for me, it's just realizing it's not just about overpowering anybody, and it's just about, you just got to believe in yourself, and that's what interested it in me. I know it seems like a boring reason why, but
I find, like, even with the Naruto character himself, his strength also came from his friends, right? Like, you said it's his stubbornness, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he wants to protect his friends.
Yeah.
When he was finally acknowledged, he realized that his strength was just like his reincarnations. It was always about the people, not just about himself, right? Whereas Sasuke, which is his yin or yang, whatever you want to call it, he was all about himself. He was all about his internal strength, because he felt like he was alone. His family died, and he had nobody else to fight for but himself, right? So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Naruto
is a good character.
Yeah. He always always fighting for his friends, because he never had any, right? Like, he was always rejected. He was always trying, like, he would do no matter what. He would try to prove it, prove it to himself that he could always protect, or always try to protect them. And that was his way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, I man, you put it so eloquently. Yo, you definitely need to join me on this pod again. We're gonna drag Teddy on. Come on, man, you're super elegant at this stuff, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's a great character, and I think it's somebody that has made a big imprint on my life. That I like to think that is a mainstay in my life. That I always want to be there for my family, for my friends, no matter what. Do whatever you can to protect them, because they give you meaning, right? Because they like, in a way, your interactions with your family and friends are what life is about. Like, you want them to be successful, you want them to be happy. That is your purpose, right? Like, that's what's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what will make, and that's what made Naruto happy. And in a way, that's what makes me happy, right? Like seeing everybody else successful and happy is what matters. But anyway, now we get into existential stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I think going back to what we're saying and what you've said, anime has many more layers to it. Anime is more than just powering up. Anime is more than just, cartoonish characters, right? There's real character, there are real lessons, and I'm happy it's a part of my life. And I think hearing your stories, it's certainly made a significant impact and will continue to make an impact in your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, I think we've touched on a ton of topics, and we've just begun. I think there's many more opportunities to talk about many more anime, and I can't wait to have you back on the podcast. But I think I'll let you get going. It's been an awesome session, and I really appreciate all your feedback and and all your opinions. And I'm sure our audiences are some will agree with you, probably more will disagree with me, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. That's what the Continental Pod is all about. We want to hear the opinions of you, our guests, and everybody who's out there. And we want to hear all the comments that come with it. So thanks, Peter, for being on the pod. I hope you can come back soon. And, I really appreciate it, man. Really, really appreciate it. So if you're listening to this and you like what you hear, or you don't like what you hear, comment. We'd love to hear more. But regardless, maybe subscribe, definitely comment, but come back for more. We're going to have a ton of anime for you at the Continental Pod. Maybe delve into a little bit of manga. But either way, it's always a pleasure to serve you at the Continental, and I look forward to having you again. Thank you very much, everybody, and keep smiling.